Okay, hello everyone. My name is Harry, Head of Product here at Messente, and welcome to the third in our WhatsApp webinar series. Today, Paul Batterson from Groundwork Apps is going to be sharing some of his experience with integrating WhatsApp for a client. What does that experience look like? What are the things to look out for? Some tips to hopefully help you out when you come to look at it. We'll talk for about 30 minutes, and as ever, we'll have time for questions. So please do stick those in the Q&A section or the comment section as we go along, and we'll either answer them as we go or we'll come to them at the end. As ever, this is being recorded and that will be shared later. And if you haven't yet seen the first two webinars we did, then do catch up on those. They're up on YouTube, and I think we can probably share the links into the comments section now. The first was really about when and why we recommend using the channel. So what use cases does it fit? What geographic regions is it a good fit for? So is WhatsApp right for you is really what we were looking to answer there. The last one was then more about the practicalities. So taking you through the key steps needed to get WhatsApp set up. So starting with some of the prerequisites you need, things like a Meta account, then connecting your WhatsApp account with Messente, creating the templates of the content you want to send out, and then finally thinking about some of the last details. So how you're going to manage replies and opt-outs and stuff like that. So we'll take you through all these steps in that one. So if you haven't caught up on that, please do have a look at it. But really today we want to try and bring this to life. So make it less of a theoretical list and talk to someone who's actually done this in real life and see what that was like. So now let me bring in Paul, who is the CEO of Groundwork Apps. Paul has, I think it's over 14 years cloud and Salesforce experience. He's literally written a book. And I'm right in saying you've literally written a book on Salesforce development.
I've written two books, yes, unfortunately. It was a very, 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 very quiet COVID period for me.
So very much knows his stuff, long-time partner of Messente as well. So thank you very much for joining us, Paul, and taking the time for this. Maybe I'll hand over to you and you can introduce what you guys do at Groundwork.
Yeah, no, thank you, Harry. Very happy to be here. So Groundwork Apps is a Salesforce ISV partner, and we have customers across the globe. So we build and make apps for the Salesforce App Exchange that hopefully make it nice and easy for you to get started with Salesforce and get some quick ROI. So one of the apps we're obviously focused on, the one we're going to be focusing on here today, is Messente for Salesforce, which is our messaging app for the Salesforce core platform, and it allows you to send SMS, Viber, and WhatsApp really quickly and easily from Salesforce using your Salesforce data, and is fully integrated. And what's one of the big differences between us and a lot of other messaging apps out there is that we have a single monthly fee per instance rather than a per user fee, because we want to make it very easy for you to get set up and scaling sending messages. So yeah, we've been listed now for just coming up to a year. We've got a couple of really good case studies with some global sending. And yeah, very, very excited to be here and to now have WhatsApp added into the solution.
Yeah, awesome. It's a partnership I think it's worked very well. We've now got quite a number of Salesforce customers using Messente with Paul's app, and it works very, very well as a package. Take us through what you're going to talk about then today.
Yeah, so what I'm going to show you today is a variation on based upon a case study. So there's a customer that we have using the Messente for Salesforce app that work with delivery drivers and kind of subcontractors for delivery firms. So I'm assuming everyone on the call has received a package from Amazon before in their life, or another service at least.
One or two,
yeah, one or two, probably one or two today, in fact. And most of these are delivered by subcontracted delivery drivers who work for themselves. And so this organization helps manage those delivery drivers, manage their taxes with the delivery firms, and makes it easy for them to operate. They are an existing SMS user. They've been sending lots and lots of SMS messages, but have updated their process a little bit and have a lot of drivers that wanted to use WhatsApp. It's got richer features. It has the ability to have buttons, things like that. And so as part of their documentation capture and onboarding process, they wanted to use WhatsApp as an extra channel just to let the drivers know they've been onboarded properly, what the next steps are, how they can get support. And what we're going to see today is a kind of demo variation of that where someone's being onboarded with Groundwork Apps. The key thing here is... Sorry.
Sorry, Paul. I was just going to jump in and just check. Am I right in thinking then the key driver for them adding WhatsApp into their channels was that end user preference, that the drivers were looking for it? Is that right?
Yeah, completely. So one of the things they were finding was that drivers love using WhatsApp. It's they're a UK based organization, and for most people in the UK, WhatsApp is now pretty much the default communication channel over
Mm-hmm.
SMS. In fact, SMS does have some benefits for them for certain messages when drivers are in areas with low or no signal, where SMS is much better to get through. But for certain kind of updates and where there's more rich information you might want to come through, so as we'll see, links, URLs, emojis, things like that, WhatsApp is a far better channel and slightly more engaging for them. So yeah, that was definitely the key driver for them.
Great.
So yeah, the kind of biggest success is that it took them slightly less than 3 weeks to get SMS launch when they first got the product set up. They were up and running, sending a message in less than 2-3 days. But by the time they'd gone through the development and testing process, it was a few weeks. With WhatsApp,
Mm-hmm.
they were launched in under 2 weeks. They had our updated package. I literally sat down with them on sort of a Wednesday morning, and they said, "This is our use case. This is what we'd like to do." And by Friday afternoon, they were getting ready to send it through to testing. And a week after, they were ready and sending. And I just got a notification this morning from their team that they've in fact started using it for a very broad marketing message to customers of their customers and also these drivers as well, to kind of update them on the Christmas period and what's happening there. So very, very quick and easy to get set up. And the thing they love is that it's all auditable and trackable in Salesforce. It's their single
Yeah.
system of truth. It's the store of where they have all their data. So having that all in there where it's easy to report, as we'll see, is just a game changing for them and makes it a lot easier.
Fantastic. That's really encouraging, because I think we do see people who see the list of things you need to do and can be a bit put off by that. But our message is they don't actually take very long. It's a number of small things, but on the whole, it's fairly quick. So that's great to see that play out with your customer. Well, should we switch to have a look at how it works then?
Yes, sure. If we can bring up my screen, I've got a pre-recorded video here. So this is a video I recorded yesterday to talk through, just in case the internet went funny or slow or any of these other things. The gods didn't like it. So what hopefully you can see on screen is that we're logged into Salesforce. And for those not familiar with Salesforce, this is what it looks like. And we're in the Messente for Salesforce app. And you can see you're able to report on all of the data using standard Salesforce dashboards and reports. And the configuration for the app is really easy. You enter your API username and password here. You can get from the Messente dashboard, and you're ready to get sending. The biggest difference between WhatsApp and SMS, as I think we'll discuss in a bit, is the templates. And what we've done and the way we manage this is we actually have a variant of the template stored in Salesforce as Salesforce records. So you can see here we've got our Groundwork demo template. We have a number of template components underneath it, which are our header, our footer, our body, and things like that, and our buttons. And we also have a target object, which is here the contact object, which is where we're going to populate our data from. So we can pull data straight from Salesforce records across. You can see here as well that I've got a component parameter. So here I'm going to get the first name from the contact for displaying, and we'll see that come through later. So we set that template up quite nice and simply to allow us to pull the data that we need through from the record we're working with. Now, if I go in here and have a look at my contact records, it's just a dummy record. It's a standard Salesforce contact. And what I've got here is a pick list that I'm going to be using, which is our onboarding status. And this onboarding status pick list is similar to the pick list that our customer are using for managing the status of their team going through this process. We can see here on the right, I've got a list of all the messages that have been sent while I was working through it, and we have our component for sending them on the top as well. So I'm going to mark this now as documentation completed and just update the record using the path component. And that's going to fire off. And in the background, that's going to send me a WhatsApp message that will come through for me to work with. So it's just calling a record trigger flow. It's not doing anything too crazy, very standard Salesforce. As you can see here, I'm just highlighting as well. We also have the ability to send messages directly from the record should we want to. So if we refresh the page, you can see that the record's all updated, and we can go down and we can view all of the messages to see that there's one at the bottom that was made yesterday afternoon at 2:13. So that was the one you can see, and you can see in the top right-hand corner of the screen, in fact, the timer, the clock, to see that it matches up to the time there. So if we switch over now to my phone, we can see the messages come through, and you can see here that it's got Paul and Paul, so it's using that first name variable on both the body and on the header as well to bring that information through. And we've got links, we've got phone numbers in there that you can press and view. And it's nice and quick and easy for you to get that data. So it's simple, it's effective, and the data is coming direct from Salesforce and populating there. Now, if we open up this message record as well that we've had stored, we also log all the message information in Salesforce, so you can go back and see what was sent. So you can see here that it's populated the field values on the header and on the body as well that we've used to send. We can also use that in our fallback sending as well. You can see it's attached it to the contact. We don't have any errors because this has worked. We also do have delivery tracking. We haven't got that turned on in this demo, but we can see the status as we go through. So let's just hop over and have a quick look at the flow that's running this. It's a very simple record trigger flow in Salesforce. For those familiar with Salesforce, this is very, very simple. We just check to see that the status has moved to documentation completed, which is one of our pick list values that we saw. And when that happens, we're just going to go down our asynchronous path because we're making a call out to Messente, and we're going to use our send WhatsApp message Apex action. And this is just one of the actions that we have in the Messente for Salesforce package. You can simply add that by going here, finding the Messente list at the bottom, clicking on that, and you can see we have WhatsApp, Viber, and SMS message sending options for you. So you can just drag one of those over if you wish, but just to show you the kind of simple configuration, we choose the phone number, we choose our record ID, which is where we're going to get the information from. We put in our template ID. Here it's hard-coded, but in reality, you pass it through based upon different statuses. We can link it to a specific contact record, which is what we've done on the contact ID. And we've also got our sender ID there, which is from our Messente dashboard. So that's how easy it is, 4 or 5 fields, and we're sending the record as we want. That's all the config that's needed for us to be able to send that quickly and easily. And if you, instead of using Flow, wanted to use Apex, we also have a full Apex API as well. So that's pretty much end-to-end how you can create, send, and integrate WhatsApp messaging to your existing setup and see all of the information come back into Salesforce, be stored against your contact, and also be pulling out contact data. So I'll hand back over to you, Harry.
Very cool. Great to see that. I know not everybody will be super familiar with Salesforce, but I think we can all pick up that looks pretty straightforward to get some nice automation going based on those Salesforce actions, storing the records against the CRM entries, and also really nice to have that manual interface for sending some ad hoc messages as well. So very nice. But how did it all go? What was that experience like of creating that and getting WhatsApp set up?
Well, I mean, the nice thing was from our side of the fence is that because we were already using the omni-channel API, it was just adding another channel in there. It was the same message structure. We've spent time upfront making sure that our system is scalable. It's a product; it has to be scalable. Whenever we add a new thing, it can't break our existing setup. So that was quite nice and easy on that front. The biggest difference, as I pointed out in the demo, was the templates. Sending an SMS and sending a Viber is quite nice and easy because it's up to you what you want to enter in there. And we can, on the Salesforce side, Salesforce provides some things like quick text we can kind of hook into and utilize. For the WhatsApp template, because you have this very structured setup that has to be approved by Meta, that has to follow a certain format, that was where any of the difficulty is. And I don't know if the kind of list you had up earlier of the kind of steps. You and I have been through this process now with a couple of customers, kind of getting them onboarded. And in my mind, the first 2 steps of the prerequisites are really down to the customer as to how quickly they can get Meta set up, how quickly they can get a phone number, how quickly they can, that's something that we have little control over, but is, fairly standard to go through. The kind of actual sending part, well, as you can see, once you've got your template set up and ready, that's pretty easy as well. It's that middle part of getting the templates set up, getting them approved. Meta has limitations as to how often you can edit the templates as well. So, we had one instance where we had someone who created the template and then thought, oh, wait, no, I want to change it immediately. And obviously you can't change it for 24 hours. And that was a minor frustration to them. But
be very sure before you hit that button.
Yeah. So, so that's kind of the biggest thing that was different. But not insurmountable. And so our intent with this was to say, well, we'll manage that template in Salesforce to a degree going forward as well to make it easy and so that we can add in some automation. My advice to people looking to go and figure out how they want to use WhatsApp messaging is to figure out how you're going to manage that template system. If you're building a product like we are, there needs to be some form of template management for you to kind of know that you've got a consistent output. If you're doing it for your own integrations and you're just doing it kind of ad hoc in your own system, again, just think about how you keep those two in sync would be my kind of big thing to think of. At the moment for us, it's a manual process, but hopefully we can automate.
And maybe start quite simple, almost recreate what you're sending on via SMS rather than getting too distracted by all the new features that WhatsApp offer. How would you recommend getting started?
Yeah, simple. I always tell customers to start with the simplest option, and it's because you'll get the quickest ROI and feedback. One of the things I think that people need to remember with any of these messaging items is that you can send messages, find they're not working, and then change things. But if you've spent 3 weeks building out that message, you're going to be really, really hesitant to change it, or it's going to feel very costly to change anything afterwards. So, yeah, I always say start simple. My advice to customers as they come onto our platform is normally start out with SMS and then build up from there, because you can guarantee everyone has an SMS account. You can guarantee people are receiving them. You can see what your feedback and retention numbers are like. SMS is still top in terms of opening. It's still very, very widely used. But then as you want to start doing more rich things or having interactivity such as buttons, such as feedback, such as links, that's where you can really work with WhatsApp or Viber, depending upon the market, and go from there. Because if you invest a lot of time in the follow-on process, you need to make sure that's nailed down. So when someone clicks that link or clicks that button, what's that going to do? Because you can't have it do nothing. Whereas with SMS, you don't have that same concern necessarily off the bat. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think we recommend something very similar to our clients of taking quite a stepped approach. You'll often hear WhatsApp themselves talking about becoming conversational, very interactive and using all the features, but that can be quite a big leap for customers. Oh, yeah. So maybe initially you just think about your goal as cost optimization. You're going to use WhatsApp where it makes sense because it's cheaper than SMS, and you're going to send the same content out and really just treat it as a cost optimization channel. Maybe your next step is then to start thinking, okay, we've got some of these features, let's start experimenting and see if we can improve conversion. And then maybe down the line, you might get more conversational. So definitely not try to do everything at once, but take quite a bite-sized approach.
Yeah, and
with those templates, how long did that approval process take?
The ones that I was working with are pretty simple. So, sort of about half an hour. Meta are really good in notifying you when it's updated. I did have one actually yesterday that was the longest one it's taken for me, and that was 3 hours, which was a single word change. So I don't know why that one took 3 hours, but typically, your first ones you can put out there. The way that Meta works with these things, obviously, is that as you put them out there and start sending them, they then have a quality metric and score. So again, this is why it's always good to start simple. Make sure you're doing the basics right and getting a good quality metric back, rather than just trying to do all things for all people and then having to stumble and fall through those first. I think it's the first 1,000 messages, isn't it? Really kind of.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about the sort of scaling up you'll need to do in the last webinar. So again, if you want to catch up on that, go and recap there. But essentially, they limit the number of messages until basically they're confident you're not sending lots of spam out on the platform. I think that's what they're looking for. Make sure that quality score is high, and then they'll automatically unlock. It does happen fairly quickly, assuming you're sending good content and you're not getting blocked or reported. Within a week you could be sending hundreds of thousands. It's not too much for a blocker, but it's kind of sensible as well from a customer point of view to maybe start a bit smaller, just start sending a portion of traffic to it and then gradually build that up as you learn.
Yeah, I think one of the things, just to kind of follow up on that as well, that is a bit more, I suppose, perhaps from maybe the Salesforce side, but the business system side is having those business processes in place. There's one customer we were talking to who wanted to have, all this kind of backwards and forwards messaging and kind of links and quick replies and buttons. And then when I said to them, great, well, who's going to pick up the next step? I was in there with their consulting team. And it suddenly was like, who is going to do this job? It's all well and good having people start replying, but the chap I was dealing with said that it would end up going to his inbox, and he did not need 3,000 messages a day from people asking questions. So it's
Right.
a good
I think
way to
this is why
start.
conversational is a much bigger step, because
Mm,
there's a lot of sort of operational and software considerations that you're going to need to think about.
definitely.
Well, now that you've done it, is there anything you wish you'd known up front, that would have led you to do things differently?
I don't think we'd have done too much differently, except maybe I'd maybe spent more time dealing with the template side up front. It is, the
Hmm.
rest of it is just like sending any other message. Once you've got your template message structure sorted and you can get that template structure out, you're calling exactly the same endpoint on Messente. It's very, very simple and easy. You're getting the same sort of response codes back. Everything's dead easy on that integration side of things. The difficulty is in having often the marketing or operations team and the technical team agreeing what the template looks like, agreeing how it functions, and making sure that it stays in sync. Um, Now, when we say in sync, it's important to know that you don't actually have to have all of the content in sync. You just need to, in your request, have the parameters correct and in sync, because it will populate them in there. But again, I really recommend just spending a bit of time up front with that. That would be the one thing that, if I had the chance to go back and do differently, is that I'd have taken this and worked harder on the templating piece up front,
Hmm.
rather than we spent a lot of time figuring out the making it easier for people to send messages, rather than making it easy for people to create the templates up front first. If that makes sense.
Yeah, interesting. And if people who haven't looked at them yet, normally in the omni-channel API, you put out the full body of the message. WhatsApp is slightly different. You reference the template you want to send, and then the only bits you need to put in is if you're using any variable parameters, like where you demonstrated inserting somebody's first name. So if you aren't using any of those, there's actually nothing to put in other than reference the template. But lots of people probably would. But maybe a good tip is to start, whilst you're getting other things in place, actually start playing around with those templates and getting happy with the content.
Yeah.
Using the tools that are there. I know you've helped customers with it. We're also very happy to help customers with templates. So that's a good place to partner, maybe.
Yeah, and I think what you just said there about the not having to use the parameters is that it goes back to that kind of migration path and simplicity. Is that just because you
Mhm.
have the ability to do all of these things doesn't mean you need to do them on day one. Day
Right.
one can just be sending what was your SMS, but very simply. That can just be it for day number one, if that's all that you want to get started as, just adding it as a channel.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways I'd like customers to have is don't feel you have to do everything at once. Start small, have a single goal in mind, go after that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so it was great. I mean, that looked highly functioning. Are you done with the integration, or is there anything more you want to do with it?
So there's always more we want to do with things. So the focus for our the next big focus for us is kind of working on the quick replies, managing them, and managing inbound in general. So we were midway through working on an inbound messaging structure setup to kind of
Hmm.
improve our routing, integrate better with Salesforce Service Cloud. And then WhatsApp came along on the Messente roadmap and was
Hmm.
integrated. So we thought, let's figure out outbound and do that. So that's really what we're looking at. The other thing that I'd really love to do is just that template management. Just keep on making that simpler,
Hmm.
easier, more effective. Ideally, long term, I'd like to have the templates in Salesforce be pulled from Meta, so that you're not
Hmm.
creating them in Salesforce. We're pulling them down, synchronizing that way, or working, integrating with Messente some way to do that, so that you're really just stating this is the target for the parameter, rather than having to recreate everything, because it's just keeping things in sync as teams update and teams change going forward.
Yeah, yeah. Template management is also something I'll mention a bit in a sec on our roadmap of for outside of the Salesforce environment. We've had
Yeah.
customers asking us for how we can make that easier. So that's something we're planning on looking at as well.
Yeah.
And Tara, maybe if we could bring back the slides, let's have a look at those roadmaps of what's coming next. Paul, on your side then.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, for us on the Messente for Salesforce core app that you've just seen, it's inbound routing and actions, integrating with Service Cloud Omnichannel. We're working on our thread view and notifications panel. So as messages come in, you'll be able to get notified in Salesforce about them. They can be assigned to you, and we'll have a single thread view that will show you messages across every channel for a contact or a lead or an account in one place. We'll be working with the number lookup. Now we have multiple channels people are using. It's more important to know which channels you can use and which ones are worthwhile using for them. And then just integrating with campaign management as well to make that more easy now that we have WhatsApp as another channel in there to make that reporting far more useful. We're also going to be launching a specific marketing cloud edition of Messente for Salesforce as well. Tentatively going to be titled Messaging Made Easy. It's scheduled for release at the end of Q1 next year, but it'll allow you to do mass messaging from Salesforce's Marketing Cloud Journey Builder, and we'll cover SMS, Viber, and WhatsApp as the channels as well. So it's an additional offering. We have some people that we've spoken to who are only using Salesforce Marketing Cloud or wish to send from Salesforce Marketing Cloud itself, as it offers a different level of scale and kind of personalization. So we'll be adding that and releasing that very shortly as well.
Yeah, that's very exciting. We've had a lot of requests for that, and that'll mean we'll now have a solution across all the major Salesforce offerings, I believe. And I think I'm right in saying you're the only solution offering Viber on Salesforce. Is that right?
Yes, as far as we're aware, we're the only solution offering Viber. As far as Viber have told us as well, we're the only solution offering Viber at the moment. So yeah, we're very, very pleased with that. And yeah, aiming to we'll definitely be the only one on Marketing Cloud doing that as well. So for those in dealing with organizations Eastern, Southern Europe, across the Middle East, and in Southeast Asia, that's going to be a big thing for them.
100%. Yeah, if you're in those right markets, Viber is really worth looking at. So yeah, do talk to us. Do talk to Paul if that's of interest. On the Messente side, then, we've actually just recently started to dip our toes into another new channel, RBM. So we're now offering a basic version of RBM in Spain. The basic version of RBM really is about giving you a trusted sender profile. So you can see that it's got your logo on it, it's been verified, the users are going to receive it and have confidence with who they're receiving that message from, and is a great way of getting started with RBM. So if you've got traffic in Spain and you're interested in that, then please do talk to us. We're currently working on a tool to be able to send WhatsApps from our dashboard, as well as the API, which you can do today. So you'll be able to send ad hoc campaigns, maybe replies out from the dashboard. And we've also got adding to the API service messages. So when you respond to a user, you're able to use a free text response, which is called a service message, and that will be added in the upcoming quarter as well. A bit later in the year, then we're looking at doing more with RBM, potentially looking at a new market. Germany is the one I think we're most interested in at the moment, but we'd love your feedback on where you'd be interested. And this would be a more full RBM integration, so including all the rich features. Then the template management I mentioned earlier, and there's some other bits we're interested in as well. But again, we'd love to hear from you. What would make life easier for you around adopting rich and making better use of omni-channel messaging? Now, just as we wrap up, just if you want to find out more, please talk to your account manager, talk to support. Please email me. If you're interested in the Salesforce side, definitely get in touch with Paul. Do use our documentation. All these videos are in their complete form, but also chopped up into more bite-sized chunks, both in our knowledge base and on YouTube. And then I'd say, set it up and give it a try. You don't have to jump into full production usage, but starting to experiment, starting small, as we said, is a great way to go. And we're here to help. You may find you won't hear a lot from Meta support if you're looking for them to guide you, but we certainly will do everything we can to get you up and running and help sort out any issues and answer any questions you may have. So I think we've now got time for some questions. If you haven't yet put something in and you'd like to answer a question, please ping it up. So for businesses just starting with WhatsApp, what's the one thing we should prioritize during integration? Well, I think from your side, Paul, you were talking, templates seem to be the message from you to think about that.
Yeah, I would just say, making sure you've got your templates sorted and agreed, and And there's a process perhaps internally around the change management of them, because wherever you're sending them from might not necessarily know if someone's updated them elsewhere. But template management would be a really kind of key thing from my end, I think, to make sure you understand what you're sending.
Yeah, and I think I'd just add into that maybe opt-ins. The policy does require a specific opt-in strategy. Several different ways of approaching it. Don't often you'll be able to modify something you're already doing, but it is worth making sure you've got a strategy there. They're unlikely to enforce it directly, but if the way they'll regulate it effectively is through those quality scores that we talked about. So not having good opt-ins might end up impacting your quality scores, and that could be a problem. So I think that's a good one to think about early on as well. Can you share how long template to WhatsApp takes? How much section costs to integrate into our Messente accounts? Will we see analytics of in the dashboards as usual? So let's go through these, maybe starting at the end. Yes, analytics is in. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to bring that back because I'm gonna forget those questions. Thank you. Yes, analytics is already in the dashboard. So if you start sending out WhatsApp, you will see WhatsApp volumes separated from your SMS volumes. You'll also see within the history tab the WhatsApp messages separately, and you can filter those. Meta actually also offers some analytics, particularly around costs and things like that you can look. So yes, analytics is there. I think the second one is in terms of cost to integrate into the account. So there's no particular setup fee. It's not an add-on product. The costs around WhatsApp is in terms of sending the messages. So there's a part of that goes directly to Meta. They've got public pricing. You can see what they charge. It varies depending on the type of message that you're sending and the market that you're sending it to. So a marketing message has a different price to an authentication message, as an example. We then have a fee on top of that covers the APIs and the support and the Messente service. And again, your account manager can take you through what that would be, provide quotes and stuff if you know what it is you're looking to do. In terms of how long a template takes to set up, yeah, I wouldn't be too put off by. I know we focus on it quite a bit, but not very long. Particularly if you want to set up something very simple, to actually build it takes a few minutes. To then get it approved, I've had some take as quick as a few minutes. In 5 minutes, I've got a message back saying that's approved. Paul's experience was between 1 and 3 hours. They do say to allow up to 24 hours, but generally we've seen it be much less than that. So in total, you're probably up and running in an hour. So again, it is one of these things with WhatsApp where it can look like lots of tasks, but they don't always take a huge amount of time. How about unsubscription rate after starting WhatsApp messaging? Well, so in terms of, so if this is referring to end users unsubscribing when you message them, then yes, that's something to look out for. You'll need to have, again, a strategy for how they opt out. So some way for them to unsubscribe, a route to doing that. And if the volume of unsubscribes is very high, that is one of the metrics that is going to impact your quality score. So it is worth thinking about the list, who you're sending to. Are they opted in? Are they expecting it? Is what you're sending them going to be useful, or is it likely to trigger a lot of unsubscribes? Otherwise, you may find that quality score is impacted. And again, this is one of Meta's ways of trying to prevent the platform not feel too spammy to users. So they're using the user feedback in order to control the content on there. So yeah, definitely worth thinking about that. It can have an impact on you. Paul, one for you.
What was your biggest challenge when transitioning from SMS to WhatsApp? For our customers, when they were, we've helped a number of customers add WhatsApp. I wouldn't say they were transitioning fully from SMS to WhatsApp. I think they're just seeing it as an additional channel in their toolkit and in their arsenal. But the biggest challenge has been really just kind of thinking about the approval process around it and that kind of setup. Although, as Harry says, it's only an hour or so. A few minutes to get these templates approved. It is still a templated message, And so it's a little bit of thought around, okay, how are we sending these? What do we want to say? What do we want it to look like? Testing that and going through it, rather than just, with SMS, it's a case of you can, really just put a string of text together and send it, and send it and find out. So that's really been kind of one of the big things, is just that slight difference. And one of the things that we as an organization, when we're dealing with customers going through it, really try and focus on with them is that thought of how are you managing this as a business? Yeah, we're obviously very focused on Salesforce and Salesforce, organizations using Salesforce. There's a lot of business process around that, and there's a lot of ways in which you run your organization, whether you're a 10-person company. We've got one company using WhatsApp now that's, I think, 4 people, and we have another company that is, up to about 400 people now. So they've got different problems, but fundamentally it's the same. It's, what is your business process around this? What are you using it for, and how are you managing that effectively? That would be kind of the key thing. Whatever channel you're using, that would be my key thing to think about, is what are your expectations in the process side of this.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's maybe less about it's a huge time penalty as much as it's a change of the way of working. It's just a slightly different mindset to get into.
I mean, for any of these, any organization, there's a demo video we have on our YouTube channel and on our website of sending an SMS message or sending a Viber message from installation of our package in Salesforce through to sending a message and receiving it in 5 minutes. And I've had to slow the videos down to make it 5 minutes. Sending messages, and the same with WhatsApp. If you can get your template approved, sending the message is really quick and simple. The difficulty is always, or the challenge is always, what's your process around it? The actual sending of the message is the easy part. We've got the easy problem, Harry and I. It's getting the message sent. It's the difficult part is for you as an organization to figure out, well, what comes next? How are we doing this? Is this appropriate? How do we deal with opt-out? How do we deal with people wanting to follow up with us? How do we ensure that we're giving good messages? All of these things are the really challenging part in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Do we need a template for Viber? Yeah, good question. No, works slightly differently, so much closer to SMS in terms of how that works. That on the whole, you can just write in the message that you want into the API, and that can vary. That said, I have a feeling there is maybe a couple of markets or a couple of scenarios around the world where they do require a template, but the vast majority is not. I think Russia, Paul, I don't know if you know that.
I think from memory is that they will at least ask to see versions of what you're going to be sending to verify it, depending upon your use case. But the nice thing I find about Viber is it's almost halfway, I think, between SMS and WhatsApp in a strange way, in that you do have that ability to put whatever content you're looking for at the time in, and can be a bit more responsive. But on the flip side, you have some of that richer functionality in links, in buttons, in imagery that SMS doesn't have.
Yeah, that's a good point about the content, and we generally handle the registration process for you for Viber, and that would be part of that setup. To start working with WhatsApp, we need to contact our account manager. You don't actually have to. You can self-serve if you would like. Follow the steps within the knowledge base to make sure you've set up the Meta account appropriately. Then you can go to the senders page within the Messente dashboard and hit connect under WhatsApp, and that will take you through the embedded sign up to connect your accounts. All we'd recommend is, our team are there, willing to help. So there can be a lot of steps, so do use them, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, well, if we're coming towards the end of those questions, it looks like. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Paul, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us and sharing those insights. That was very, very interesting, very, very helpful, I'm sure, for anyone considering doing the same thing.
No, thank you. Really happy to be here. And for anyone who's considering doing integrating WhatsApp, Messente do make it really easy. So I wouldn't have any concerns about doing it. I just say make sure you're planning it out to be as successful as possible.
Brilliant. Yeah, and both our emails are there. So if you do want to have any follow-ups, do feel free to reach out to either of us. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a very good Christmas for those of you who do that. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.